and welcome to the local campaign here on Rogers TV. Thank you so much for spending time with us here today. As we get closer to the election date of October 24th, we turn our attention to municipal debates, and today's debate is with Ward 12, Rideau-Vanier. Before I introduce you to our candidates, let me just go over the format for all of you at home, and of course for all of our candidates here. We're going to begin with an opening statement. Each candidate will have 60 seconds for their opening statement. The order of that was chosen by random just a few moments ago. Well, after that opening statement, I will ask a question to one of our candidates. They will have 45 seconds to begin the topic, and then I will open it up to the entire floor for them to debate upon that. At the end of that, the question for whom I ask the candidate, for whom I ask the first question, will have 30 seconds to wrap that up. So we'll go through that, obviously talking about many of the issues that are important to constituents in the ward and, of course, to residents throughout the entire city of Ottawa. At the end of our debate, each and every candidate will have an opportunity to share a closing statement, and again, 60 seconds for that closing statement. So let's introduce you to our candidates for Rideau-Vanier, starting with Patrick Auguste. Welcome.
Well, thank you.
Alex Osorio.
Thank you.
Stéphanie Plante. Kim Leclerc.
Hi.
Hicham Boutaleb. Julie Fiala.
Bonjour.
Laura Shantz.
Hi.
And Tyler Cybulski. All right, let's begin with our opening statements, and we start with Patrick Auguste. You have 60 seconds, sir.
Thank you. Hello to everyone. I've been living in Rideau-Vanier for a long time now. I'm very involved in the social life there, many activities, and I've been involved in community mobilization about different projects and communication and youth program, etc. I'm the co-founder of several organizations, and I am now, I've been organized events in different venues that we have in that area. And I have a master in business administration, teach at Ottawa U, and then I really care of the poor, generally speaking, to improve their condition of living. My goal is really to improve the life, the way of life in Rideau-Vanier, the quality of life.
All right, thank you very much. That's your 60 seconds. Over to Alex Osorio. You have 60 seconds.
Hi, Ottawa. My name is Alex Osorio, and I'm running to be your next city councillor for Rideau-Vanier. Over the last several years, I've had the honor and privilege of serving our community through various outreach programs. I love our community, and I've seen a lot of decisions being made at City Hall that could have been made better for our ward. The reason why I'm running to represent you is because I believe you deserve better representation at City Hall. Over the last 25 years, we've started the Fire of God Community Outreach Center, serving over 800 families each and every single week through various outreach programs, including a grocery program. I'm looking forward to the next 4 years to making Rideau-Vanier the best possible ward for absolutely everyone. I know it's going to be a long fight, uphill battle, but together we can achieve absolutely anything. Thank you so much for your support.
All right, thank you, Alex. Next, we have Stéphanie Plante. You have 60 seconds, Stephanie.
Thank you so much. And I first wanted to start out by recognizing that we are on unceded Algonquin and Anishinaabe territory. It's great to be here with you, and thank you so much for watching. My name is Stéphanie Plante, and I have a plan. In 2004, I moved to Vanier. I currently live in Sandy Hill, and my son goes to school in Lowertown. I have worked with so many of you on so many important projects, including the reconciliation work we did with the Annie Putuguk Park, the families we have supported through our Parents' Council. I am listening. You have told me the following. 1, you want family doctors. I have a plan to bring stakeholders together to recruit and retain family physicians. 2, you want to live and age in place, but cannot afford to do so. I support a plan that is backed by over 145 supporting housing and health organizations. There are other priorities we need to discuss, but know that I'm invested in the community and I want to make Rideau-Vanier the best ward in the city. Merci, miigwech.
Okay, thank you very much, Stephanie. Next up, we have Kim Leclerc. You have 60 seconds.
Hi, my name is Kim Leclerc, and I'm a dad of 2 young boys living in Vanier. And the reason I want to be your next city councillor to serve you is because I want to give a legacy and make sure that my kids live in the best place they can be in Ottawa. We have a vibrant community. We know that it's probably one of the best in Ottawa. We love it so much. But we face a lot of challenges in the last years. We have seen like different occupation. We have seen the rise of the price of the housing, and people are pushed out of our community. We want to keep our soul. We want to keep our community, and I want to make sure that our community is safe, is affordable, and keep the soul that make Vanier, Sandy Hill, and Lower Town what we know today. So this is why I want to be there to serve you at City Hall.
All right, thank you very much, Kim. Next up, we have Hicham Boutaleb. You have 60 seconds.
Thank you. I don't have a political background, and I never imagined I would be here if you told me this a year ago. The reason I am running is out of the sheer exasperation and frustration of accessing services in Ottawa and dealing with the hurdles that are just so intractable. I promise that if I'm elected, I will listen to you, I will hear you. I want to solve the Rideau-Vanier homelessness problem where people are abandoned, essentially, carelessly, on the streets. It's a complicated problem, but I'm up for the challenge. And fight the high-rise condo virus that is destroying our communities and uprooting services that we've depended on. And thirdly, to deal with the embarrassing level of transportation that is called OC Transpo. It's time they're held accountable.
Thank you very much, Hicham. And next up, we have Julie Fiala. Julie, you have 60 seconds for your opening statement.
Kwekwe, bonjour, hi. My name is Julie Fiala. Mon nom est Julie Fiala. Thank you, Rogers, for organizing this debate. I will be brief because time matters. We are running out of time. Our campaign is centered on 3 H's: housing, hospitality, and humanity. And we tackle these challenges with great humility. If we begin immediately, like today, tackling these issues, we can address underlying problems like safety and security in our neighborhoods and in our homes. We can be better together, ensemble. Health is also an ongoing, might I add, daily concern for every person in our ward. Montfort encore.
Thank you very much, Julie. Next up is Laura Shantz. Laura, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. I want to acknowledge to start that we are on the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. My name is Laura Shantz. I have the experience and drive to be your Rideau-Vanier City Councillor. Over the past years, I have studied, worked, and lived in Rideau-Vanier. I understand the complexities of the challenges we face here in our ward. I've worked in our city's homeless shelters. I've researched complex social issues. I stand up for better transit, and I fight for dignity and equity for everyone in our city. Je comprends que l'accessibilité doit être au sein de nos efforts pour s'assurer qu'on a tous une chance de participer dans la vie de notre ville. Because a city for all of us means just that, to ensure we are all included, to make sure that our voices are heard and counted, and that residents' lived experiences are at the heart of our decision making. I want a better city for us all, and I am willing to do the work to make it happen.
Thank you very much, Laura. And finally, we have Tyler Cybulski. You have 60 seconds.
Thanks, Derek. My name is Tyler Cybulski, and I've been a proud resident of Rideau-Vanier for the last 11 years. I love my community, but the reality is that our ward is facing a growing number of challenges. We have an LRT system plagued by service disruptions. Buses are late, and as of recently, they don't show up at all. Our downtown core has been taken over by drug use. Affordable housing is in short supply, and our ward has the second highest crime rate in the city. Despite these pressing issues, many candidates have conveniently ignored them, committing instead to more public toilets, tree planting, and free public transit. I'm committed to addressing the problems in Rideau-Vanier that have been ignored for far too long. As your city councillor, I'll help fix our broken transit system, clean up our streets, and create more affordable housing. On October 24th, I'm asking for your help to make sure Rideau-Vanier reaches its incredible potential. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you all very much. That does it for our opening statements. Now we turn our attention to the debate portion. I'm going to ask our first candidate to open up the discussion with 45 seconds. And that topic is going to be something that a few of you have already mentioned, and that is the downtown core. What recommendations would you make, Patrick, to help revitalize that downtown core? You have 45 seconds.
That means you have to make all the community very comfortable about feeling safe first, and then provide the opportunity for them to develop their initiative. That means it like make the services more accessible, affordable to them. And you have to have service that go to see those people where they live, and try to build a kind of, I would say, economic system like everyone is really is placed there, and really back the potential of everyone. That's what I would say.
Okay, thank you very much. That does it for the opening statement. I now open up the floor to all candidates. Please feel free to jump in.
I'd like to start by saying, I think downtown it's a big challenge right now. A lot of people think of downtown, they think of big office towers, or we think about Byward Market as a place that tourists come often. One way that we're going to revitalize our downtown is to make sure that downtown communities are ready to serve the needs of local residents who live in downtown neighborhoods, to maintain them as walkable neighborhoods. I hear a lot about the loss of Trudel Home Hardware, for example, and how we need to ensure that people don't need to get on the train or use a car in order to pick up some screws to install a bookshelf. We need to make sure that our downtown communities are ready to go, to meet local needs, to be walkable, to be inviting, not just for our tourists, but also for our local residents. Improving downtown housing will also be a key measure in order to make sure our communities remain vibrant.
I'm going to disagree with you that it's not a vibrant downtown. Just this year alone, we've had the Festival des Sucres, Art in the Park, La Nouvelle Scène, Buskers Festival. We've had free movies in the park, awesome arts, the opening of the Rideau Winter Trail, and a lot of community garage sales. That being said, if I am elected, I will also continue to expand the public arts program and look into more art for crosswalks, electrical boxes, and of course our famous murals, maybe do a mural tour. I will also pilot a program to address what Ms. Shantz just discussed with the Ottawa Tool Library and the Ottawa Public Library so people can rent tools with their library cards. In collaboration with local historians, the BIA, and residents, I will also pilot a program that will explain the history, heritage, and significance of streets, names, homes, parks in Rideau-Vanier. And last, I will ensure that we invest in the long-term viability of the Byward Market by ensuring funding commitments for the Byward Market Public Realm Plan. Thank you.
As much as, if I can interject here, as much as we talk about revitalization of the downtown and making tourism and everything, all that is great. But all of that is no good if there is no safety in our downtown core. If we do not get a comprehensive security plan and making sure our residents feel safe, nobody, no matter how good our parks are, no matter how good Byward Market is, no matter how good everything is, nobody's going to come downtown. Right now, there is a fear of going downtown because of the homelessness, because of the dirt, because of the crime. We need right now to work with Ottawa Police to ensure that public safety is at the forefront. After we secure public safety, then we can talk about everything else. Because no matter how much beautiful you make a park, if the residents don't feel safe, if the tourists from afar and from near don't feel safe, no matter how beautiful something is, nobody's going to come down.
Hicham, you want to jump in here?
Yeah, I don't think it has to be an either or. There are many benefits to Ottawa, and I'm relatively new to Ottawa. And we have to look at it practically. What do other cities do that work? Now, I've been in contact with the Peel region in Toronto, the Salvation Army there, and they have practical measures that they implement there, such as curfews, such as activities for their residents that maybe the Ottawa Salvation Army could learn from. So we have to look at it practically, mechanically, what works, what doesn't work. And I agree with the artistic invigoration of the society. We need more of that. We need more murals, more plaques, more artists. So there's a lot of talent here. We just have to activate it and approach it in a comparative and contrasting way.
Julie, go ahead.
Yes, I think there are so many good points here that have been mentioned. I would say that I agree with Alex that safety and security are the most important concerns. If people, of course, housing is also a very important concern in the quality of housing, but if people feel unsafe on the streets and unsafe in their homes, I think that that issue becomes the central and core issue of any neighborhood and any end of the prosperity in our neighborhoods.
Yeah, I'm going to be a bit more realistic here. I appreciate that my colleagues here are really proud of our downtown. I think it can be a beautiful place. Reality is it's a crisis down there right now. Rampant homelessness, drug use on the streets, crime. People are afraid to go downtown. I get countless emails every week, text messages, phone calls from people who tell me, I'm afraid to leave my home. I'm afraid for my safety when I leave after it goes dark at night. We got to fix those issues first. I agree with Alex. We can talk about everything else after we address the main concerns, which is safety and cleaning up our downtown homeless problem.
Yeah, I think the problem is the one we have everywhere with downtown is we don't think about the people's living and working in downtown. Is making from people outside. We have to think about everyone who's living there to make sure that it's a place they will be is vibrant. So for sure the safety. Just last night, 2 nights ago, you have a fire and some bang heard, and on Facebook, all people in the community speaking, oh, gunshot, gunshot, gunshot. It's not gunshot, but people are worried. And we have to make sure that the police is working with us. We don't have the police to make work. They are far apart the community because they have separated. We have to make sure that we have social services that to speak to people. Make sure that the police reconnect. They're disconnect with the population, and we see that in the last occupation. Where is the police with the population? They're not there. They speak to someone else. We have to make sure that we will live every day, that they have services, that it's something vibrant. So safety, housing, social services is the key to make sure that our downtown will be livable. And after that, we will have like art to bring tourism and make sure that it's fun, because like the new mural, it's really good. It's making joy to everyone.
Stephanie, you wanted to jump in here, and then I'll come to you.
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned because we have downtown over 40,000 students who are attending the University of Ottawa, and we have over 200 merchants both inside the Rideau Centre and in the Byward Market. And there's a lot of people on this stage who are telling those tourists and those parents that the downtown is not safe. Ottawa is overwhelmingly safe. Is the downtown core perfect? No, but it is a very vibrant place, and I would welcome all students and all tourists to the downtown core.
Patrick?
Yeah, how do you make it to make the people feel safer? I think the community police, very important that we develop those services to work with the youth, develop program, let's say entertaining, etc. And you have to invest in that. That means with the community police, you have to better handle that, and that take the people, the youth, especially the youth, include them in a developing project that make them participate. You can use a kind of agreement between the student of the University of Ottawa and other youth people around and make them better citizens to help the community.
You'll have an opportunity to wrap this up, but I'm just going to go to Julie, and then I'll come to you. Go ahead, Al.
Yes, I'd like to respond to Stephanie. Stephanie, I don't know in what world you live in, but myself and another artist and activist who's part of the Indigenous community, Shirley Tacey, have founded a Missing and Murdered working group. There are issues in our community that are very real. There's a lot of violence in some corners and some streets of Vanier, of course, and some areas of Lower Town as well. I have lived on 3 of those streets in the last 5 years. I can tell you, I know the community inside and out, and I think that's crucial.
Alex?
In order, what Stephanie was saying, to sugarcoat the severity of the security that is needed in downtown, we cannot make a mistake about that. Downtown needs to be secure. Right now, we are seeing homelessness on a rise. We're seeing crime on a rise. And to try to sugarcoat it with other programs and stuff, which is great. I'm all in favor of the arts and programs. But if we do not feel safe, if the residents don't feel safe, there's a big contrast between Sandy Hill and Lower Town and Vanier. But if residents as a whole don't feel safe,
I got to stop you there. I'm sorry, Alex. Patrick, you have 30 seconds to wrap up on the topic.
Yeah, I see that we have a very great potential in Rideau-Vanier. I said about the different communities living there. You have to make them feel safe, make the people, whatever the age, develop their potential. And then we have a kind of situation that you have now that I think the service have to work closer to the population. To do that, you need better funding, especially the police. And then not just doing like against violence, you have to live in a positive relation with the population, then help them
All right.
have a safer place.
We're going to leave it there. We move on to the next topic. Alex, I'll start with you. You'll have 45 seconds. There's a lot of concern over the city's growing debt. Where would you set tax increases over the next 4 years, taking that debt into account?
You know, I think right now we have to look at all the options on the table. Nothing is off the table, everything is on the table. We have to sit down with everyone and hear all the necessary points and figures and points of views to get the right program and plan under agenda. My first priority is to ensure that everybody comes to the table with great ideas and to grab the best ideas and put them together for the betterment of our ward. We can talk about different initiatives, different everything, but until we don't sit down with every party involved, we won't be able to solve our crisis. So in order to talk about the financial, physical debt and everything, we need to sit down with every single community leader, every single business, every single advocate. We need to sit down and hear every concern.
All right, I open it up to all candidates on the floor.
Yeah, so just very quickly, it's not a secret that we are one of the oldest parts of Ottawa, and we do have a lot of aging infrastructure, and we do need a lot of social programs. So a small increase in taxes, I think, is completely reasonable to be able to keep up with the demands that we have in Rideau-Vanier, because we don't want to lose any of those buildings or any of those services. Thank you.
I think one of the problems is like the way the system is framing. It's pushing people outside. And so we develop new communities in Orleans, in Canada, in Stittsville, everywhere. But what is happening? We have to pay for new services, to build new roads, to have more transportation, transit. And at the end, who pays for that? It's people in Rideau-Vanier that pay to subsidize the people going outside. At the end, it's cost a lot to the city. And this is why we are in a debt crisis. And we continue to do the same thing. But we have to make sure the thing is different and make the communities think together and stop subsidizing people going at the hand of the city.
Feel free, anyone, to jump in.
Look, $3 billion debt, that's a lot of money. That's money you service with your taxes every year. My concern long term is we don't have a plan to pay off that debt. Not a lot of candidates are speaking to that. I'd like to see us look at efficiencies we can find within our budgets, our police budget. I'm not in favor of defunding the police, but $350 million is a lot of money. I don't think we're getting a good quality service for what we're paying. So I'm interested in exploring efficiencies that we can find to start paying off our debt, reducing taxes, or freezing taxes.
Mm-hmm. I'd say that we can do more with what we have. I'd say how we deal with the budget and with debt requires us to come up with better ideas, better plans, especially in terms of housing. I have been recently a housing consultant, so I can speak directly to those issues, and I have a solution for rehousing 400 people immediately with very little money spent. I don't know why we are waiting.
Yeah, Hicham?
Well, if there's such a high debt, why is there so much high-rise development? There's obviously money somewhere and it's being invested, but it's being invested in a very small sector of the population. So we're seeing rising inequality. What I'm concerned about happening to Ottawa is I see what's happening to the city I left behind. I grew up in Vancouver. Vancouver is now an unaffordable billionaire city full of abandoned high-rises and condos and homelessness. Is that where we want Ottawa to go? Because that is where it is headed now under our present leadership. So why don't we tax these developers that are making a killing and then running off to their green lawns and leaving the city dwellers to suffer the consequences of their development?
Yeah, go ahead, Laura. I just want to remind everyone, just jump in at any time,
Sure.
but go ahead, Laura.
So for me, I think when we talk about taxes, we really need to think about what it is that our tax dollars do. Our tax dollars are making sure our roads are cleared, our tax dollars are making sure our garbage is picked up, and delivering essential programs and services to folks in Ottawa. For me, we have to be very cautious in terms of tax increases because we are one of the most highly taxed cities at the municipal level. But we also need to remember that saying we're going to freeze taxes essentially means service cuts, because what we have right now is a situation where the cost of living, the cost of all the fuel we're putting in city vehicles and heating city buildings, all of that's going up, wages are going up. So we need to be sure we can keep pace with those costs to deliver services. Is there space to think about how to better deliver services? Absolutely. But the idea of a modest tax increase is one that is simply smart, because we're going to need that money in order to fund the services residents want and need.
I think that right now, to talk about raising taxes on our citizens at a time where inflation is at an all-time high, I mean, it's just not in the works. We gotta find ways to make what we have work better for everybody. We're paying high enough. You're looking at taxes, property taxes, to the tune of $8,000 a year. Those are Beverly Hills numbers, and the services do not compare. So to talk about adding more taxes to something that isn't working properly, it'll just pull your hair out. We gotta find, where are the gaps, where are the loopholes, where are the places that we can better restructure everything to bring better services, bring better programs with what money we have already. But to add a tax increase over what we are facing right now, when people are finding a hard time putting food on the table, people are finding a hard time getting jobs and whatnot, to add another tax, I don't think it's the right way to go. I think we've got to find a better way to maximize what we have right now.
Thank you, Alex. Our city is only as good as our leaders. Choose your leader very cautiously. I'd like to add that we're still in a pandemic. So in some ways, I agree with Tyler and also with Alex that we have to really be very cautious as to raising taxes, because it does become a burden on our citizens, on our people.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think like we have also to look at inefficiencies. Like we have one of the highest taxes rate in Ontario. We have one of the highest transit transportation rate in the world, and unfortunately, we are inefficient. The service is not that good. If you have tried to register for swimming for kids, it's worse than like getting ticket for the most exclusive concert in the world. Like you have to be lucky, and one of the time I'm not lucky. So what is happening is I think it has a lot of inefficiencies, and I think we have to propose some solution. It's probably time to look to have like an inspector generals, like they did in Montreal, that they looks at the contractor, they look at the people to know what is efficient. I'm not speaking about the general verificator, about the person that they can do inquiry, they can cancel contract, they make sure that everything is
Go ahead,
good.
Patrick. I'm just going to get somebody else in.
Yeah, one specific challenge that we have is wherever we have like a residential area close to business area, close to downtown, that will put a pressure. Let's say, for example, the rate of location is getting higher and things like that. We cannot, in that kind of situation, the government, let's say the city hall, have to be proactive and to go to see on the ground, work with different associations, let's say owner, association, etc., to have a better balance in the different costs and try to control the rise of the cost of living. Very important. You cannot just wait because you lose your control.
Go ahead.
We have to ask who we are taxing. I mean, taxes target specific sectors, specific communities, specific tax brackets. The way I see it is there is a lot of wealth. You can see it in the development, but where is that tax going to? What is it funding? And we have to keep the accountability of the developers who are building these giant condos. They are sacrificing the citizens' well-being, the average citizens, and this is part of a broader problem. This is not just a municipal problem, the rising inequality. So although I don't want to demonize taxation, because it's for all of us, it's our pooling our resources for our services, we have to keep
we have also to take like accountable city councillor, because actually
my apologies to you both, gentlemen, but we've run out of time here on this particular topic. Alex, you have 30 seconds to wrap up.
You know, as I stated earlier, I believe now is the time where we got to come together and find those efficient ways to work better, make our dollars, stretch our dollar. Every family right now is stretching their dollars to the best of our capability. So if every family is making every dollar count, why can't we at a city level make every dollar count? We cannot talk about taxation, higher taxation, unless we have stretched every single dollar, especially at a time like this.
All right, thank you all. Appreciate that. Stephanie, I'll start this next question with you. You'll have 45 seconds. The environment And climate change has been one of the top issues that we've seen. What can we do at a municipal level to make Ottawa a greener, more sustainable place? Go ahead, Stephanie.
Thank you. It's a very important question. Our nation's capital, like the rest of the planet, is suffering from the impacts of climate change. Whether it's floods, record hot temperatures, events over the last couple of years have reminded us of the urgency to reduce greenhouse gases. Here are some small but significant ways I will advocate for Ward 12 to be the most greenest ward in this city. 1, I will explore the possibility of the City of Ottawa, like many other capitals, to become a member of C40. 2, I will work with local charities like the Free Store to divert fast fashion waste from the Rideau Center. 3, weekly compost and recycling pickup, as well as increased garbage recycling and green needle bins that are required around the ward. Thank you.
All right, I open it up to all candidates. Go ahead, everyone, just jump in.
In all honesty, this should be our #1 issue, because what's coming is not pretty, and the climate crisis should really be our #1 issue. With having said that, at the municipal level, there are concrete things we can do. We can also prepare for emergencies. One solution is to get participating businesses in the community to have solar paneled, battery paneled communal hubs in the event of a power outage, where people could get food, could charge their phones, could have Wi-Fi access. Green, I'm stunned by how cemented the city is. It's just parking lot after parking lot, and it's partly where I've grown up. But we have to green the city. We have to. I think we should have a right to shade, because as the weather heats up, this is going to be a pressing problem.
I agree. Really, when we look at the tree canopy in our city, we see is that to have a chance at fighting climate change, we need at least a 40% tree canopy in every neighborhood across the city. In Rideau-Vanier, we sit at 27%, so we're far below our target. And we also know that what's happened in the past, we have these large storms that come through, like the Derick storm in May. We're losing a lot of trees. We need to make sure that the trees that are being lost to critical weather events, to age, and frankly to development, as trees are often cut to expand properties to lot lines, we need to make sure that these are replaced, that we're protecting the trees we've got, and that we're investing in the future to ensure we have the tree canopy we need. This can also mean greening areas like Byward, where there are very few trees and where tourists and locals alike would benefit from having some more shade and a more pleasant environment.
Go ahead, Julie, just jump in, yeah.
It's not just trees, it's the rivers, but it's also the pavement itself. I'd like us to remember that there are over 400 wheelchair users in our ward, and that they deal with the pavement and the potholes every day. So if we're going to create roads that are better for cyclists, we should consult our wheelchair users, because these people are also ones that we've forgotten here today. Nobody's talking about disability and ability, and I think we need to remember them. I think same goes for our older people, and they need to be involved and into thinking about how we can make our city better for cyclists, better for pedestrians, because that's where changes in our daily life is going to improve our ecosystem, really.
Going green is great. I'm all in favor of that. But we have to think about timing as well. We're in a debt crisis right now. We're in an affordability crisis. Green initiatives are expensive, and some of them are unproven in terms of life cycle assessment of one product to another, whether going green is actually better in the long term for the environment. When we talk about environmental crisis, we're talking about a worldwide issue here. And the reality is we could all jump on our bicycles tomorrow and come to this debate. But when China has 1,000 coal power plants operational right now, our efforts are in vain. We need to start looking at the world cohesively and saying, what can we do to improve the climate in a worldwide way? Environmental sustainability is a great thing. I'd love to see our buildings be more sustainable, whether it's be retrofitting to be more green or environmentally efficient. But the reality is it's not proper timing. We're not thinking of it on a worldwide scale.
Tyler, I think you should run for MP.
Kim, you want?
Yeah, I think it's just not like spending money. It's how we think the city. Like if you go in a new development, it's impossible to live there without having a car. You have to go at the grocery stores, you need your car. You need to go to the convenience store, you need your car. You want to have services with your kids or going to play, you need your car. It's just the way we're thinking. We have to shift our mind and make sure that the way we develop the city, we think about the city is the best way. Actually, we follow the model of the worst. We have to be the leader to look at the better city in the world and to be part of it and make sure that we think better. So this is how we can do a difference in the environment all the way.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, it's so important issues. I think it's a matter of being aware and education and innovative. I said the University of Ottawa, you have a lot of innovative programs with the youth. Let's say that they use, instead of the water, they use other alternative and things. There are a lot of programs. I think the agreement could be made with the University of Ottawa and doing those stuff for the neighborhood. It will be worthy for every part. And then we have to provide, to promote, I agree with my friend here, transportation without car. You have like a physical transportation, and we have to promote that with the cycling, etc. It's a matter of education. And we could have some award, for example. The champion of the environment. It could be an organization, it could be a store, it could be a leader, a community leaders that make like a model, what the example we have to follow. And then it would be good, that would be a very good impact to the youth, to everyone in the community. And I think we will have a better place to live.
It is very clear that our environment is at the forefront. Our climate is at the forefront. But we're talking about ideas that everybody has done, but it ain't working. We need to think outside the box. We need to think outside of what everything else has been done. To try to keep on trying to do something that has been recycled by other leaders and by other people in position, it is a waste of time. We need to think of outside the box. Let's touch a little bit on what Tyler said. You know, going to these developers that are building these high condos, number one, there should be a plan inside their budget and plan to make these buildings greener, to make all of these new constructions greener. Will it cost us a little bit more? But in the long run, absolutely yes. But to start thinking outside the box is a key priority. And I believe that once we start thinking outside the box with new, fresh ideas, we are going to be able to get more done. So we can talk about what has been done and what could be done, but we're talking about things that have been recycled.
I'm just going to stop you there, actually, because I'm going to get Laura in here and then Hicham.
So one thing, I'm hearing some chat about active transit and public transit as ways to get people out of cars. They're very important and they can work. The challenge is we've created systems that are often hostile to people who are not in cars. So we've got roads that are not always safe to bike on. We've got intersections that are dangerous to cross. We have 29 of them in our city that have been proven to be incredibly dangerous for cyclists and pedestrians. If we can address these points, if we can make those broken connections safe for everyone, we can get people out of cars. Similarly, we need to improve our bus and LRT network in order to make sure public transit is there, affordable and reliable for people so that it is a good choice. And that's something we can do to push for the environment.
Hicham, go ahead, and then Kim, you can jump in.
I'm 50 years old. I don't have a driver's license. Okay, I'm embarrassed, probably one of the few people. I've always depended on good transportation. Unfortunately, I was let down in Ottawa, and I hope to make a difference in that. I'll give you an example. My family and I, a family of four, traveled from Thousand Islands to Ottawa yesterday. That cost us $30 in gas, a return trip. It would cost us, according to the Crown Corporation of the it would cost us $430. So you tell me who's going to take a train for $430, a family of four, when they can drive? We have to improve our transportation.
Kim, jump in here quick, because
Yes.
I know.
I think also we have to leverage what we have as a tool. We have Hydro Ottawa that we can use to develop a better, greener energy in our town, and we don't use it.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Stephanie, you have 30 seconds to wrap up on this topic.
Our green spaces are super important to combating the climate crisis. And a good percentage of residents in Rideau-Vanier live in apartments. Parks are essential for physical and mental health. Here are the ways I will make Rideau-Vanier one of the greenest wards in the city. 1, I will put bathrooms and water fountains in Ward 12 parks. 2, I will extend the hours of pools on super hot days. 3, I will pilot food kiosks, small stands, and outdoor seating so local residents can enjoy the food of local restaurants like we saw in our NCC parks this summer. And
All right,
last,
sorry,
I want to
Stephanie,
work with...
that's your time. Sorry about that. Next question is for Kim, and Kim, you'll have 45 seconds to open up this discussion. Let's go back to talking transit. You've all sort of touched on transit, but we know it's probably one of the biggest issues, if not the biggest issue for many people. When it comes to the LRT and bus services and cancellations that we've seen, let's talk about some concrete solutions to help with this situation. Kim, I open the floor to you for 45 seconds.
Yes, I think we all agree that OC Transpo is doing an awful job, especially if you're living in Rideau-Vanier or if you rely on Paratranspo. You will wait a really, really long time. I used to take the 12 circuits to go to my job. It was really painful. I think what we can do to improve is like to make sure we go something reliable. We have a lot of things like we don't use. We have like a bus stop without accommodation for person with disability. We have no priority lights for our bus. We think, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay, Kim. You'll be able to jump in as well, but I open up the floor to all candidates here.
I think our bus drivers are highly underpaid. I've spoken to many of them, and I think there's problems with retaining bus drivers as well as with staffing issues at the city. So although I do agree with you, I've taken the 12 bus myself. And I've even remember it when it was the number 2 because I've lived, my life has been centered in the ward for my whole 43 years of existence. And so I think, yeah, I think I have a lot to say about transport, and we should focus on improving the quality of our services because they absolutely need to be improved.
Transit's only going to work when it's affordable, reliable, going where people want to go, and accessible. If we can't meet those metrics, we're not delivering on transit. Within our ward specifically, we need to address the inaccessible bus stops that are not usable by wheelchair users. There are several of them. We need to address the speed of transit up Montreal Road and down Rideau Street. We need to ensure that that is a rapid transit corridor where people can get where they need to go quickly. We also need to address paratransit issues within our ward. We need to ensure that for the whole city, anyone riding paratransit can book on the same day that they want to travel and can travel with their friends if they're going in a group instead of having multiple buses come to service them. These are very simple things that we could do to dramatically improve transit in our neighborhood, and we need to be ready to act.
Why don't we hold the people responsible accountable? Because it seems that if Montreal, compared to Ottawa, has an efficient public transport system, and Toronto, I mean, Ottawa is a city of 1 million people approximately. It's a shameful, embarrassing fact that we have a village transport system. Why don't we have a fact-finding mission? You go to Montreal, how do you do it right? Can we copy, can we implement your policies? And it seems that it's a leadership problem because I think there is a will amongst the public to improve the transport system, but leadership is not taking that initiative. And so we have to press them and say, make it as efficient as this city next door, you know?
Hicham's very right that we need a transit system we can all be proud of.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I talk to a lot of folks who don't feel good about taking the train or the bus, who have switched to biking or bought a personal car so they can avoid taking transit. As someone who's a transit advocate, that's really frustrating, but I also understand completely. Because if you need to get to work or to an appointment, you can't be late every day. You need to make sure you're showing up on time. We need to be delivering that service.
Go ahead, Stephanie, you wanted to jump in here? Go ahead.
Thank you so much. As I've gone door to door to speak to people about the transit issues, here's some of the things they've told me they would like to see to solve our transit problems within the city. Number 1, advocate for strategies that get trucks off our downtown streets. Cargo bikes should serve as alternate delivery vehicles. 2, a firm timeline with key benchmarks from the city when all roads in Rideau-Vanier will have at least one protected bike lane. 3, more electric charging stations around the ward to advocate and increase e-vehicle charging infrastructure. And of course, prioritize pedestrian and school areas for snow
Just to
clearing.
remind you, you don't have to wait for me to jump in. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, I think that there's room here to have like a special circuit for the bus, not really, let's say, the bus running the same place as the other car, and they take a lot of time stuck in traffic, etc. I think there's place that you could have a line, especially for the bus, that could help a lot. And I say that I went to the different cities. I think our drivers has a lack of, let's say, welcoming people. I'm sorry about that. I was in Montreal, for example, and even if you cross the bridge, you go to Quebec, you will see that the drivers, they have more like customer service is higher. I think we have to review the way we train our drivers to make the public transportation more comfortable for everyone. Some people, they don't want to take the bus because of the way they welcome on the bus. And very important about that.
I want to say something because I don't want to villainize the bus drivers. I don't believe they are the root cause. I believe it starts at the leadership, it starts at the head, at the organization. So I don't want to villainize the bus drivers because they're just doing their jobs. But I do believe that in order to have better transportation, we cannot think about different ideas until we fix the problem. Creating another idea or implementing another idea over a failure, what is now, is just going to add to the problems. We need to fix the transit as it is right now. We cannot think about any other ideas until we fix. What's the point of fixing something that is broken and just putting a duct tape over it? It's just going to break over again.
884,000 people or 884,000 rides on paratranspo annually. I think we need to think about those people as well. I was at a door the other day, and a kind woman was telling me how the paratranspo shocks are hurting her back. I mean, even the services we do provide aren't being provided in ways that are necessarily helpful. In this case, the woman now suffers from chronic pain because of the use of paratranspo and because of the current ways that the service is
Tyler,
is
you haven't had a
available.
chance to get in here, so I'll just...
I think we really need to go back to the drawing board with transit in our city. COVID's changed a lot of the ways we get around and people are going to work or not going to work. The main thing we got to do is stop lying to the public and pretending that we have a service that we don't. Every day we question the intelligence of our transit riders and take them to be idiots who don't know anything. These people need to rely on the bus to go get their groceries, to get to medical appointments, to go visit family. It's deplorable, our bus service in the city here, and I expect better for our buses in the city.
Yeah, I think like if we are comparing services is better in Montreal and better in Toronto, it's because we're really in the bottom of the services, because Montreal and Toronto are pretty terrific also, but they do better than us. I think like we have to also think it's all because of the way we're developing city. We continue to expand, going further. What's happening? We have to add some new lines, add new place, new services. At the end, who pays the price? It's the people at the core of the city, because you have to do more with less instead of reinforcing the transportation.
I do think that I would say we need to consult with more transit riders, public consultations, massive public consultations. OC Transpo is an organization that's completely out of touch with what you go through when you take the bus. You have no idea how hard it is to get around on time if you have to rely on it. I took my car here today because I couldn't rely on the bus. I didn't trust enough in the bus service. I'm not sure how anybody else got here today. But we need to go back and look at public involvement in those consultation processes.
We have so many pressing problems. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know, public transit should be a given. It's embarrassing that we have to talk about our buses not running on time or running at all in the capital of Canada. I mean, let's just copy paste as much as we can to save our energies for the more urgent problems that are facing us, like climate. How do you do it in Montreal? Why has the LRT had so many problems? That was supposed to be the fix-all Band-Aid solution. It's embarrassing.
Let's go over to Patrick here, and then we'll have Kim wrap up.
Yeah, what I see here, everything in the public transportation is like, as they say here, my friend said, basically the low level. Let's say, for example, the loss and found. When you get there, the way that the people, they welcome is very, very bad. We can improve that. And I would say also the rise of the pass is very, very high for every year that people cannot afford it.
We've run out of time there. Kim, you do have 30 seconds to wrap up on this topic.
I think we have to make this at the City Council a priority. We speak at every election how OC Transpo is awful, how it's doing, but every time it's worse and worse and worse, and people decide to take cars. You look at the LRT, supposed to be the solution. But the LRT, we have do it so fast, so badly that it's not working. We have to take care of the people and make sure that the transit system is centered on people.
Thank you very much, Kim. All right, Hicham, you're going to start off this next topic. Again, you'll have 45 seconds to open it up. Let's go back to affordable housing, and in particular, affordable rental housing. This is something that I think is left out of the conversation when we talk about housing, according to so many residents. What are some of the solutions that we can bring to the table to help with this housing crisis we have in the city of Ottawa? Go ahead, Hicham.
Well, first of all, we have to be aware that this is a global problem. This is not just Ottawa. This is a problem in Europe, in all of North America. It's global. So housing is increasing, and that has to do with rising inequality. Basically, the top 1% of 1% is buying up property of the majority of real estate. The other thing we have to do is increase our cooperative housing, getting new buildings, development, and making it a strict requirement that any development has to have a certain percentage, which I think formally they do, but often in the small print they avoid that.
Sorry, Hicham, you'll be able to continue on with the debate here, but your 45 seconds is up, so just jump in, anyone.
I am a volunteer au Centre de Service GIG. I've been involved there since 1998. I work with older people who are primarily above 80. Many are 60-year-old and more. I can tell you that many of them have worked all their lives and they can't afford housing in Ottawa, and many of them are threatened with homelessness. We need to do better. Cities of equal size, cities such as Quebec City, for example, capital cities, are able to deal with this challenge a lot better than we are. So I think something's not working very right, and we can have better conversations and come up with more creative solutions.
A big part of the challenge is that the state of our rental housing, we have enormous problems both in the private market and often with Ottawa community housing as well in terms of repairs and maintenance. Many units are not in good repair. Tenants are experiencing problems with essentials in their homes like water pipes, no heat in winter, no air conditioning in summer. And these conditions augment our problems because a lot of buildings unfortunately have been left to decline, and residents are at risk of what we call renoviction and demoviction, so being forced out of their units because those units deteriorate to a point where the building needs to be fully renovated or torn down. If we can address those issues of renoviction and demoviction, we can have a real shot at maintaining some of the affordable units that we have in the market right now. Many affordable apartments right now, we're losing 7 for every 1 that's being built, and it's important we do what we can to address that loss and stop it.
Are you a renter, Laura?
I have been a renter.
Okay, well, I'm a current renter, and I can tell you it's not easy.
Absolutely. There are no easy solutions to this, but that's why it's important to take every step we can in order to find solutions.
Experience to be authentic.
Well, we need to increase the supply of social, affordable, and family rental housing in this city. Full stop. I endorse the #StartsWithHome campaign. That's from the Alliance to End Homelessness, which you can read on their website. It's in English only, but it's pretty great. Alongside their strategies, I recommend the following. I would begin discussions with the federal government and other underused buildings in Rideau-Vanier to see if they can be retrofitted to housing units. I would streamline the process for construction permits and renovation for developers who include heritage, social, family, and geared-to-income housing into their development plans. I would bring forward a motion of right of first refusal so that the city has right of first purchase on real estate sales in areas that do not have public housing, so we can diversify the wards that have OCH. And last, I would prioritize families living in motels, which we know is a big issue in this ward, for public housing, and ensure that large rental companies like CLV District dedicate a percentage of their units to low income while charging geared to income rents.
All that sounds great. All that sounds really good. But the real question should be asked, what is causing the backlog? It's great, all those initiatives, but what is causing the backlog? There is a backlog in Ottawa in the housing department. What is it? Is it red tape, bureaucracy, policies? What needs to be done to clear up that tape? We cannot have families living in motels and hotels waiting for homes. That's not a home. That's a disaster in the making. We need to find out what is the backlog. My first plan, it is to find out what is the backlog, what's the red tape holding these housings from happening. People deserve affordable housing, good affordable housing. Like Laura said, that you don't have to have plumbing issues and all that, but good affordable housing. What is the backlog? That's the number one question that I will be asking. What is the backlog? Get rid of the red tape, get rid of the bureaucracy, and let's get people into good, sustainable homes.
I think Laura touched on something really important. We're losing homes faster than we're building them. We need rapid expansion, not outwards, upwards in the city. And I think that the key to that is not deregulation, obviously, but we need to clear more room for developers to build more buildings. We need to rethink our zoning in the city. Obviously, we want to protect our heritage sections, designated areas of the city, but we need to pack more people into smaller areas. We need more smaller apartment buildings. We need some high-rise buildings. We need to rethink this and come up with, like what Alex said earlier, creative out-of-the-box solutions to fix this issue. This is my biggest issue running to be city councillor. We're running out of time. 12,000 households on the centralized waiting list right now for housing. They don't give an indication of how many that is. Could be 30,000, could be 50,000 people, could be 70,000 people. We don't know. That's people who don't have a chance to thrive, who don't have a chance to have a place to call home, and it's negatively affecting a lot of people's lives.
But how do you stop a developer from saying, great idea, I'm going to build a 40-story condo, $4,000 a condo, a rent a month, or whatever, $2 million?
It's a fair question. My thinking is we need to engage with the development industry. We need to stop demonizing developers. The reality is developers are in development to make money.
It's demonizing greed. There's way too much greed in the development.
To be fair, can I finish
go ahead.
one thought here, Derek?
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it greed. You see, these large publicly traded companies, you understand this,
Yeah.
okay? They have a fiduciary obligation to maximize profits for their shareholders. They're not doing anything wrong by selling for a
That's
profit.
the death knell to the speech.
Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah.
Go ahead, and Patrick,
Yeah.
I'll come to you right after.
I think like the zoning is probably one of the key problems. Like it's working for developers, but it's not working for family. If you want to try to retrofit your home to have a multi-generational home and have a new place to your father or your family, it's almost impossible to do it. But it's easy to do a new development. It's easy to have like the Salvation Army bypass every people in the community, but it's hard to small persons to retrofit their home.
And when I say
Okay, hold
engage-
on. I'm just going to let Patrick get in here.
Yeah, what the building and housing, etc., it cannot be considered as a normal business. Not just say the developer do what they want. It like that the basic needs people have to be afford to have houses, and I think there have to be more involvement from the city hall to put maybe a cap for the way the raise of the cost, and we cannot just leave it on the hand of the developers like that. It's not a business like other business. It's almost like else. It looks like that basic business, and I think the kind of attitude have to be changed at the city hall about that.
You're right. You have to change the way that the city council is working. Like you have some place that you have some pay cut for the city councillor if they don't meet their budget requirement. I think we need the same thing if we don't build. If we don't have enough housing. And I'm sorry, Stephanie, but we can't count on the federal government. If we
The federal government has a rapid housing strategy.
Oh my God, the federal government, I've worked for there, and I think if we want to wait for them, we will have to wait for 10 or 15 years. It will
Okay.
be really long.
I'll go to Julie.
To make sure the people's
Go ahead,
work
Julie,
out.
quickly.
Des listes et des listes. Je suis un peu tannée de listes, Stéphanie. Dans le cas de... we need to focus on the fact that we're in a post-pandemic moment. We're moving towards the post-pandemic. We have a lot of empty towers, a lot of empty office spaces. I mean, to me, that's the potential for talking about zoning, but for housing people directly
I'm
in
going to
these
go to
buildings.
Tyler for a quick
Yeah, I
rebuttal
just want
here.
to clear up what I said earlier. Obviously, when I say engage with developers, I'm not saying let developers do whatever they want and pillage our city for profits. I'm saying is open up to more development, make it easier to develop. Obviously, with regulations in place, I love to have green regulations in place for every new development that's built. But yeah, I'm not strictly a developer candidate like I've been accused of being. I do believe in having some regulation, but the reality is,
All
is
right.
we need to engage
Sorry,
with developers.
that's our time, Tyler. Hicham, you have 30 seconds to wrap up on the topic.
Well, the housing crisis, like I said, we have to keep in mind it's not just an Ottawa problem, it's a global problem. And in my opinion, the best way to tackle it is to legislate for developers to have more affordable units for ordinary people, to build affordable housing, and to have more cooperatives. I live in a co-op. They work great. They're not for profit. The tenants run the cooperative, and that is a model for expanding housing in Ottawa.
Okay, thank you very much, Hicham. All right, we'll move on to the next topic. Julie, we're going to be starting with you. We've touched on, as candidates, you've touched on homelessness, you've touched on crime, but let's delve into more policing. We've heard the words, freezing of the police budget, defunding the police budget, whatever term, you want to use. Are there other tasks, or I should say, are there other social services that could deal with some of the tasks that policing is doing right now? And if so, what type of tasks? What would you suggest as a candidate? I'll start with you, Julie. You'll have 45 seconds to begin.
Yes, I think police are often dealing with mental health crisis. I think we have excellent services in our city to deal with mental health that are that are not accessible because people don't know about them. Doesn't mean they're not there. For example, we have excellent services at l'Hôpital Montfort. We have excellent services through Montfort Renaissance. We have other organizations around Le Centre Gig, around even Le Patro offers a number of services directly targeting youth. I think we need to get more word on the street about what's accessible, and we need to, through education and through the school board and through other mass distribution networks, to get people knowing what they have access to or what they can access.
All right, I open the floor up to everyone.
There was something that stayed with me from talking to the Salvation Army in the Toronto region. It was that they don't call the police if there's a problem with the people that are staying there, their tenants or what you call. And they have a security system in place to deal with those problems. I think having the city police as a band-aid for any disturbance in public is a strain, and it really drains their valuable resources. So we have to segment our responses. This is a community, this is a social problem, this is a mental health problem, this is a police problem. So we can't have the Ottawa police be a band-aid for everyone's problems.
You know, it's a real challenge right now because the police are tasked with doing many things that they are not best tasked to do. We know that police are not mental health experts and they should not be asked to be mental health experts. We know that police are not well equipped to deal with complex situations of mental health and addictions. We do have experts who are capable of doing that in our city. Unfortunately, right now, this workload far exceeds their capacity to meet it. We need to ensure that those services are well funded because that should not be a police matter. What's happening right now is the police are asked to address it and they simply can't. No one can meet the level of demand right now with the services available. The other area where the police are often asked to do way more than necessarily they should is in the area of speed enforcement on our roads. A lot of neighbors are very concerned about high-speed traffic in their neighborhoods. This can be easily addressed through automated speed enforcement and through road design changes. It does not need to be a job for on-the-ground policing in most cases. And if we can detask the police from those particular jobs, there will be a lot more time left over for other matters that people are calling out for help with.
I believe right now there's been a lot of talk, like what you said, to defund the police. And I want to go on the record of saying that is a colossal mistake. I don't believe our police department should be defunded. Number one, we need policing on our streets. You look at Canada Day, you walk down the streets on Canada Day, you saw policemen all over the place. Everybody felt safe. You are absolutely right that a lot of the policemen and women are not equipped to deal with mental services and social services and whatnot. But let's be clear about something. Neither are these social service workers equipped to deal with these violent acts that take place. You need a robust police service to ensure safety and security that crime doesn't go up. When criminals see a social worker, with all due respect, they don't respect them. But when they see a police officer and police presence, there is a respect. So I do believe that our police services cannot be criminalized. Our police services are essential work. I am not in favor of defunding the police. I know, Laura, that you were endorsed by Horizon Ottawa. They are in big favor of defunding the police, which I don't believe it should be a talk. I believe our police services need our support, they want to be involved with the community, they deserve to be involved with the community, but they do not deserve to be defunded.
We've got to be careful repeating American slogans like defund the police. It's a stupid slogan.
Absolutely.
I think the Democratic Party...
We could call it freezing the budget, as I said.
Yeah,
You can
whatever.
choose whatever
The
language.
Democratic Party is paying the price for that stupid slogan.
Absolutely.
But there is a point to saying that you can't show up in a uniform to scare
No.
people or pedestrians away. There are other solutions.
Absolutely.
So that I think that's the spirit of what the stupid slogan was meant to address.
So go ahead.
There is a gang violence problem in our communities. I think that the police is doing a great job, but I do think that we need more listening, more interrelationships, more dialogue between police and homeowners, renters, residents, homeless, opioid crisis, we need just more dialogue because people have different needs and those are specific to the individuals living in our communities.
No, I would say that there is some initiative that took place for some times about like a mixed committee to work with the community, but I think that has to be funded and make it more dynamic. I don't know why there's a kind of slowdown. I think there's some politics get involved in it. We have to revive that and make it larger and to have a representation on different part of the population. That's a matter of like, I agree with the idea of dialogue and come to solution, let's say, broader solution for everyone. And I agree with that collaboration because police and the social services, that think that's the way to go. But there's a lack of, I think, confidence that I feel between those different bodies. You have to feel safe and everyone should have the feeling that they've been heard by the city.
Patrick brings up a really important point in terms of police confidence. You know, our city, our neighborhoods, especially in Byward Market, experienced great disruption during the convoy occupation this winter. And a lot of residents have said that they have lost a lot of faith in our police department. And we really need to address what it is that happened and how it is we could build back confidence so that people feel better and safer in our community. Is that a role for police? Yes, in part. It's also a role for other social agencies. I'd also like to quickly address Alex's comment about an endorsement I received. My name's Laura Shantz. I'm a candidate for here in Rideau-Vanier. If an organization chooses to endorse me, that's great. But I'm here saying my own opinions and my own thoughts, not those of anyone else.
Third-party advertiser, they'll be spending money to promote your campaign.
So
correct?
Could be.
Well, I have to ask them the question, Laura, are you in favor of reducing the budget for the police or are you in favor of supporting the police? Because they are clearly in favor, let me use the word again, defunding the police. Are you in favor or against?
So if we're going to talk about the police budget as a whole, we need to look, like you said, with every other city department at how we're going to fund that. We need to look for efficiencies. Should there be private cars for officers to take for whatever needs
No,
they
but
have?
that wasn't the question. The
Yeah,
question is, are
answer
you
it.
in favor of defunding or not?
Yes
or no?
or no?
The yes or no question, I think we need to look at what we can do with the police budget and where those dollars can go.
I think a more important
well,
question would be how
Timon.
much, because there's a figure that's been put up there to essentially penalize police here in the city, not allow us to keep our citizens safe and keep our community safe. Look, there's been a small uptick in crime in our city since the pandemic started. I don't think this is the time for massive cuts. Like I said, that number does matter. In terms of social workers replacing police, I don't think that's ever going to be a tangible solution to the problem. They can work in conjunction with police, I think, effectively, but not replace a police officer.
Kim,
Yeah,
you wanted to jump in?
I think like we have to have better training like they do in Europe with the police officer not having the American model. I think like Laura says, the police do a lot of things that they're not supposed to do. Like they do when you have works, they do like the circulation. Like it can do by private company for half the price or even less than that. We have to be more efficient to make sure that the police address the core problem and make sure also like the provincial and the federal government do their job. We see in the occupation, they didn't do their job. They say, oh, it's you, Ottawa. Good luck.
Okay, Stephanie, go ahead.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people listening today who know Sébastien and Calixte, and these are our neighborhood police officers for Lower Town, Sandy Hill, and La Basseville, and we like them so much. They are so great. They come to every community association meeting and are very accessible. So if we are going to talk about police, we need more community policing. And second, I would like for OPS to take online threats and harassment more seriously, and that's something I would work at as if I'm elected your
Okay,
councillor.
thank you all very much. Sorry, Hicham, we've run out of time on this particular. But you'll have an opportunity if you want to touch on it in your closing statement. We're going to change formats right now. So what I'm going to do is, oh yeah, sorry, we have the final 30 seconds to Julie. Go ahead, Julie.
Oh
I
la
apologize.
la! Almost forgotten.
No, go ahead, Julie. I wouldn't forget you, I
Luckily,
promise.
I don't think I'm very forgettable. OK, bonjour. Alors, j'aimerais dire qu'il y avait un Haïtien magnifique. There was an amazing Haitian police officer who helped me recently in a state of crisis. I mean, I was living in Lower Town. There are a lot of situations and residual tension around what we lived in during the pandemic, especially the last few months. And I'd like to say thank you. Merci.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Sorry about that. I did not forget you.
No worries.
Promise. All right, now we're going to change formats just a little bit. I'm just going to ask one question. I'm going to go to each candidate. You'll have 60 seconds to answer the question. There'll be no debate on this particular question. I'm going to start with you, Laura. There's been some success stories. Some people would say a lot less success stories when it comes to the public-private partnerships, the P3 contracts. Is there a place for them? If so, what are some of the benefits? And if there's not a place for them, you know, what better value can we get out of working with contractors on large projects here in the city?
So when it comes to P3 deals, we need to think about what it is the city wants to get out of them in the end. Often what we're trying to do is to accomplish a large infrastructure project. My question to viewers would be, if we want to get this done, what is the downside to acquiring that expertise in-house? What is the downside to the city gaining those skills and capacities of how to run these large projects ourselves instead of outsourcing that to a third party where we don't maintain any of the expertise? We don't necessarily even know how to maintain the infrastructure that we're creating. If we can get that expertise in-house and use that to our advantage, then we can gain in the long run. It also opens us for more transparency and more public accountability. The minute we have a P3 contract where all of a sudden all the decisions are made behind closed doors, the public loses. Having those decisions out in the open is something incredibly important and something we need as a city.
Thank you, Laura. I'll go to you, Tyler. You have 60 seconds. Same
topic?
question.
Oh, same talk, yeah.
Yep.
I'm in favor of them. Like to Laura's point, I think it'd be nice if we kept some of the skills in-house and we knew how to run our systems. LRT is a great example of that. We're on the hook now for, 20, 30 years still for this contract with RGT. I do think these partnerships do have a place. Obviously, it protects the taxpayer. You have another interest in the group. Yeah, I don't need long to answer that one. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. All right, I'll come to you, Patrick. Same
What
topic.
is lacking here a lot of time is the point of view of the people, let's say outside this kind of agreement about, because let's say that those people involved, directly involved, have maybe some interest that is not exactly the interest of the point of view of the public that can benefit from it. I think if they had other people like a point of evaluation about what it delivered, I think that could help the different parties directly involved review their plan and do better job. I think what is happening, because we have to have people that have kind of distance about what is happening and bring some new ideas, and I think that we could be less individual interest but more collective interest. I think that could work better.
Okay, excellent. Alex?
Same
question.
When I look at all that, I think we need public accountability and transparency. I believe there are pros in everything, and of course we can talk about the cons of everything. Everything has a pros and a cons. But if we sit down at the table, look at every single proposal, look at every single detail, look at every single thing that is in that proposal, then I think we can come to a better understanding of what it will be better for our ward. So I'm in favor of sitting down, listening and talking and figuring out what's the best that will come out of this proposal or out of this contract for the betterment of our ward.
Okay. Stephanie, you have 60 seconds for the same topic.
Yes, I just wanted to touch upon two success stories of P3 partnerships that are very important to our ward. Number one is the Ottawa Art Gallery, which we can all agree is something that has been really great, bright light, especially in this times of pandemic. That was a P3 partnership that is managed locally and is a success story. The other one is also the Ottawa Bridge, which a lot of us used to cross to get from Overbrook to Sandy Hill and vice versa. That it was also built privately and is managed locally and is a success story. That being said, if elected, I will implement the recommendations of the LRT Commission, which is looking at the P3 partnerships within our transit system.
Okay, thank you very much. Over to you, Kim.
Yes. I've been a ministerial advisor for a long time. I know that the P3 can be a success or can be a disaster. And I have covered a few disasters and helping manage them. It's not the P3 model that's the problem or not. It's the way that we plan all the things. If we don't do a good planning, if we don't think about everything, if we don't do our job or due diligence, we will have a disaster. Is it public funded, private funded, or P3, it will be a disaster. The key is to do our job, to make sure that we do the thing the good way. And if we don't have the expertise, or we don't go with it, or we make sure that we get the expertise, we before we start doing planning. LRT is a good example, and the bridge also is a good example.
All right, Hicham, you have 60 seconds, same topic.
I think you have to look at it on a case-by-case basis. In general, I'm suspicious of it because you have one unaccountable partner which has no transparency, who has, as you say, fiduciary responsibility to maximize profit, and then you have a public partner who's answerable to the public, us. So how does that work in principle? It's a case-by-case basis. But off the bat, I see it from a general historical point of view over the last 40 years as part of the privatization, the neoliberal privatization of our societies. And I think it's been one of the main results of rising inequality, lowering of living standards. This partnership, as it's phrased, has been generally destructive to our society. So I'm suspicious of it. It's a case-by-case situation.
Okay, thank you very much, Hicham. Julie, 60 seconds on the same topic.
Yes, thank you. The success of any project depends on the quality of the minds involved. I would say I'm also a real believer in accountability. Sure, the Ottawa Art Gallery is a great project, but Stephanie, had you been to the Arts Court in the 1990s when it was a phenomenal place, I think we need to go back to things like the Canada Council, our basic values in relation to arts funding that you mentioned earlier. I think some of the resources that have been here historically, and prosperity goes in waves. There have been some great arts organizations that have also gone down the tubes. So I would say, I think when we provide examples, we need to also think about historically how perhaps models that existed before are also great.
All right, thank you all. Really appreciate it. It's now time for closing statements, so I'll do that in reverse order of the random order we did previously. And we start with Tyler. Tyler, you have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
Thank you, Derick. As I stated in my opening statement, Rideau-Vanier is facing a lot of challenges as we approach the next term of council. There's not an area we can look at today and said that we were ahead from 4 years ago. As Hicham and I were talking earlier, I would encourage everybody, go back and watch the Rogers TV debates from 4 years ago. You'll notice we're talking about a lot of the same issues, excuse me, and never in a more favorable light. Things are actually getting worse. The residents of Rideau-Vanier are tired of empty rhetoric, and they want real change to occur. On October 24th, I'm asking for your help to make that change occur.
All right, thank you very much. Over to you, Laura. You have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
Sure. Rideau-Vanier is an amazing community in the heart of our city. I'm proud to call it home. I'm proud to raise my kids here. I am ready to work for and alongside members of our community to address the complex challenges that we face today and that we will continue to face tomorrow. We can do better. With evidence-based solutions, we can be prepared for our future. Having a greener city is possible. Having a more accessible city is possible. Having public transit and city services that we are proud of is possible. You will vote for one councillor to represent you at City Hall, so it is important to elect someone who is ready to listen, to work with you, and to act in order to improve our community for all of us. I am ready to be that person, and I hope I can count on your vote on October 24th. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Laura. Julie, you have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
I believe in integral education. What that means is think it, make it, fix it, and do it again. We need to be better together. We need to work hand in hand. Let me be your voice. In terms of health, we must increase provisions by lobbying other levels of government. We have done it before, we can do it again. Montfort encore.
All right, thank you very much, Julie. Over to Hicham. Hicham, you have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's okay, go ahead.
Take two. Yeah, well, all I want to say is this is my home. I know I'm not from here. I can't claim to be a long-term Rideau resident, but I can tell you this, that you won't find a stronger fighter for you. My children's future is here, and I hope their grandchildren's future is here. We can't demonize individuals, bus drivers, policemen. These are structural problems to do with leadership. And the rising inequality and the gutting of the middle class that we've been seeing over the last 40 years, to put things into context, is because of a lot of this union of so-called private enterprise and public policy. And I think it's a mistake. We have to stop it and reverse it and give the power back to the people.
Thank you, Hicham. Over to you, Kim. You have 60 seconds.
Thank you very much. I think today you have listened to a lot of different opinions, but everyone here wants to do a better job for Lower Town, Sandy Hill, and Vanier. And I think we deserve to have our voice heard at the City Council. It's time to stop doing every time the same thing all over again, that it's not working. We need someone who stands up for us to make sure that they are accountable. Make sure that it's not like the civil servants that they run the city, but that's the city hall, that's the city councilor. I'm there for you, to represent you and standing up for you. I need your vote to be there for you and serve you. It's important on October 24th that you will be served by the best persons to help you.
All right, thank you, Kim. Stephanie, you have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
Thank you so much for being here with us tonight, and thank you to Rogers for hosting us. I'm Stéphanie Plante, and I have a plan. If there's one thing I want you to remember tonight, it's this. I want our ward to be the envy of the National Capital Region, a ward that is clean, safe, and leaves no one behind. At the beginning, I told you my ideas have been generated by ongoing discussions that I've had in the community. You've told me your concerns, and I am listening. Please go to my website, stephanieplante.ca, to share with me what you think. I want to hear your ideas, and I want you to know that this is a team effort. I look forward to connecting with you at your doorstep, via social media, or through my website, stephanieplante.ca. Thanks for being with us tonight. Merci et miigwech.
All right, thank you very much. Alex, you have 60 seconds for your statement.
Thank you, Derick. On October 24th, everything changes. On October 24th, we're going to see a new councillor. City Hall does not need more advocates. City Hall does not need more ideas. City Hall needs plans and somebody that will step in and get to work. I am that person. Over the last 25 years, I've had the honor and privilege of serving our community through various programs to the tune of 800 families being served each and every single week. So I know what it is to be boots on the ground, hands deep, and get to work, and that's what I want to do. I do believe that this is the time, this is the season in which we need to make Rideau-Vanier the best ward in our city, and with your help, I believe we can do that. On October 24th, when you do cast your ballot, I do hope that you remember this debate and make this debate a simple, clear choice. We are here for you, and we're ready to work. Go to www.voteforalex.ca, and I look forward to serving you as your next city councillor.
Thank you, Alex. And Patrick, finally, you have your 60 seconds here.
The last but not the least, I'm Patrick Auguste, and I want your vote. I will tell you why. If you elect me, you will benefit from more than 15 years of involvement in community development and project. And I really, during my career, I see a lot of lack of efficiency about public services and about the blockage in the City Hall. I know where are the problems, and I want to get there to fix it for you. And I really love the neighborhood. And our Aboriginal, newcomers, Francophone, Anglophone, I really want everyone included. I want to say something. You know, our neighborhood is the more richest one, but it's the more poorest one at the same time. What we have to do to link those two sides of things? Marché by, etc. A lot of people, they're jealous about it, but we have to make it more balanced for everyone's benefit. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Patrick, and thanks to all of you. Really appreciate your time today. Sure, a round of applause. I love it. Thank you very much. No, really appreciate it. I wish you all the best of luck, and thank you for joining us today. And of course, you at home, thank you so much for joining us. You can find all of our debates at rogerstv.com. And don't forget, on October 24th, cast your ballot. Thanks so much for tuning in to the local campaign.